Hello, it's Einar from Unity Center. Today we have Gerhard Walper here. He is one of the guys that's very close to Bert Hellinger. Bert Hellinger, I think a lot of you know, is the founder of Family Constellations.
Yes.
And we have had some family constellations at the center here. It's fascinating. It's totally... you don't understand what's happening. So I think Gerhard's going to tell us a little bit about how it works. So can you first just tell people what is Family Constellations?
Yeah.
How did it start out?
Yeah. Family Constellations is a practical method to bring up to light hidden dynamics in a family. So in the center is the relationship in the family, and that was the beginning, that we looked on a family and the relationship and how the relationship influences the state of mind of the members of a family. And in the very beginning, Bert Hellinger had the insight that he could see there is something happening with the people, they behave, and you cannot explain it out of their biography. There must be something behind that is influencing them, and he observed they behave like a former member of the family. And then he had the insight, whenever someone is excluded in a family, in the next generation or over next generation, someone is born and it behaves like the excluded. To remember, it's very nice how it is in English, remember this excluded family member.
So your grandfather, if he had a very aggressive kind of way to manifest his inner self or something, and then his son is doing the same thing, and then you're doing the same thing, you mean it's some kind of energy you're taking with you?
It's like our ancestors or others in the family in a way talk through us today, through me today. They are in me still, alive.
Just like in Norway we call arvesynden. Arvesynden. I don't know what you call that in English.
I don't know.
Well, you know, most people listening is Norwegians. Yeah. So that's what they call arvesynden, I think. Yes. So and this way of acting, you can, if it's a negative way, you can work with it in a special way to get it to disappear.
First of all, I don't distinguish if it's negative or positive.
Okay.
Whatever comes up in me or in someone else, in a way needs to come up and to show, and is waiting in a way for a solution or for a way to come to an end. Sometimes someone had a destiny, for instance, someone committed suicide, but this destiny is not integrated in the family. The parents felt guilty when it's the son of them, and there was no grief about the dead son. And then generations later there's still this grief that could not be lived.
Yes. That was a good example.
Yeah.
So then you're working with this grief.
Right. In the constellation it comes up, and you can bring it for the whole family. You put the members of the family who are important, for instance the parents and sisters and brothers maybe, and the client who is a grandchild of these parents and is connected with the one who committed suicide, to say farewell till they have found peace with what happened. This is normally the way. Then you can withdraw, and the one who had to represent this former family member who committed suicide, the one can withdraw and live.
But this representative, he doesn't have to be in the family or anything. When I think just to explain this easy.
Yeah.
A constellation is the client that has a problem, and then you have some representatives, that helpers or something, around that is helping in the process.
The representatives show what is the hidden dynamic. When we talk about that, we normally don't touch and connect with what is important and what helps to bring it to an end, and that is hidden. And the representatives are able, because they are totally free, they don't know anything about this family, so they can give the people who they represent a place, and then they show what is necessary here.
Well, that's the most fascinating thing.
Yeah.
How do they feel the right things?
I don't know. And I don't think that you really can explain that in a scientific way. It's a miracle in a way, but it shows that we have a sense that we don't know.
Yes.
There must be a deeper sense in our soul that we can trust in that, because we see where does it lead to, and it leads to something very healingful and very it's a blessing that we have this method, I think.
Can you compare it with healing or something? When you get some healing and they look into this, the hurt you have, and what you do. If when it's healing, it's only one person lying on the bench, and the healer sees this trauma and tries to heal it. What is the difference here? Is it this more effective? Does it go more to the depth?
Healing from the view of the family constellation is a healing in relationships. So you always see more than one. You see that it needs something in relation to others, and that healing is something common together with other people. For instance, when a family shows their grief and their tears for a dead, they do it together, and together they find peace, not a single one. And that is, to some methods, a difference, where we more look at a single person.
So family constellation, this deals, even if it's only one client and he gets help, does this help for the whole family that's not even there?
Right. Sometimes my image is that the one who is here is in service for many others.
Okay.
And he is in resonance with them,
Also,
without being aware of it even.
Yeah,
We are always in resonance with, so you sit here and I see a single person, but around you are many others, and around me are many others who we both are in resonance with.
Yes.
And those, when it's important for our situation, your situation, my situation, these others find a way to talk to others in the constellation by the representatives. In our life, by our child, by our partner, by a friend, by someone on the street. So we always face those who we are in resonance with, without being aware of it.
Today's people, this is it sounds like magic, but it really works. I've seen it myself on constellations we had here. It's people, the representatives, they suddenly feel very aggressive, or they take over the feelings that they're going to work with, and they don't know where it comes from. So
there are strange examples.
Yes.
For example, a man in a constellation that Bert Hellinger did in United States heard a name in his ear, Albert. And he heard the sentence, say Albert to him, say this name to the client. He was the representative of a man of that family. At the end of the constellation, he had to go to this client and say, do you know the name, the German name Albert? He says, oh yes, that's the name of my father and my grandfather who came from Germany. How is that possible? There must be a field of wisdom that we connect with.
Yes.
So wisdom is not in us, but around us, in a field of relationship. There is the wisdom. And we can come in contact with this wisdom. And we even experience that from this field there is a force that guides us. We talked before that today the constellation work has changed, and I'm not anymore guiding the constellation. I am guided by a force beyond. And today the work is to wait that this force takes over and guides us, me also, the facilitator, the client, and the representatives. And if we are humble enough and withdraw enough so that we have no intention, no fears, then we are guided to what helps us. And we never know what will come up before.
And this is, you told me a bit about, this is the new, the new that Bert Hellinger has found out. Before the client came with the problem.
Yeah.
And now,
I asked him questions.
Yes.
What is about what happened in the family.
Yeah.
Today I don't do anymore.
Don't ask, you don't know anything.
I just know it's about coupleship, for example. About his relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then I consolate him and the partner, and nothing more. And then we see by the representatives there is aggression in the coupleship. They show it. We don't talk about that. And sometimes the client thinks it's something different. It's about, he has any idea. But these ideas do not help. All our thinking what could be helpful is not helpful. That shows the constellations. We have to go deeper, and it's not enough to look at us, it's enough to look at others who are behind us, who are in resonance with us. And that is often in the beginning of the constellation, when the representatives act without talking and without my interference. Someone looks far, and I know there is someone. He is looking, or she is looking at someone in the distance. And then I just put a person there. I don't know, maybe it's a woman or a man. I just put a person there. And the family goes on, and the process shows what it is about. Someone who left the family a century ago, or something like that.
That's fascinating. Well, tell me a little bit about Bert Hellinger. How did he found this kind of process or therapy, or what do you call it?
When he talks about it and explains it, he said, "This was given to me."
Okay.
It's not that it's my invention or that it's coming out of myself. It was like a gift. But he said, I'm a phenomenologist. And that means his insights about the consciousness, good and bad conscience. He said, I looked at conscience for 6 years without developing any ideas. I'm just looking at it phenomenologically, without interpretations, and let it influence me. And then he came to his first insight about conscience. Conscience is about belonging to a group. Okay. It's all about belonging. I have a good conscience as long as I'm sure I can belong to my family. I become a bad conscience when I fear that I cannot belong anymore to my family.
Only to the family, or to your group of friends, relatives?
First to the family, then to other groups. Okay. Also to my country.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And this, 6 years. He was facing it without analyzing, interpretations.
They sort of channel down
Phenomenologically.
Yeah. How long has family constellations been around? When did he find out this?
I think it was in the 80s that he
80s,
started.
yeah.
I'm not sure, was it in the beginning or at the end of the 80s? So it's more than 25 years.
And this new method you're talking about, that you don't need to ask, is that totally new, or something he found out for a few years ago, or did it come down on the same way?
It developed slowly in his work.
Okay.
You can see it, because in the beginning we asked all the time. We set up people on places in a room, and then we asked them, how do you feel here? How do you feel when you withdraw? How do you feel in relation to this woman or this man, and so on. So we were always asking them, and they were telling. And then it happened that they started to move on their own in some constellations, and Bert Hellinger saw that, and he did not interfere. He immediately felt that is something important. I need to withdraw and not interfere. And then something happened without words. So that was the beginning, and it showed him that it is necessary not to interfere. He more and more had this experience, it's better not to interfere during the process.
So now this is the new way of doing this.
Yes. And it's very silent, and it's always surprising. You never know where do you get at the end. And we have many experiences and ideas what is helpful for us in our life in different situations. But this way shows we can forget them all. It's always something else. No, you cannot reproduce these experiences. You have to find always new solutions, very new. And we cannot find them. Something bigger that guides us, show us how we can. But sometimes we have to wait quite a long time till this shows us. These forces show us.
But what do you really do? Do you people just sit around and talk, and don't you say anything? Something has to start the whole process. In the beginning, I try to get in resonance with the client, and sometimes I feel or I see persons, or I feel a pain or aggression. And sometimes I begin a constellation when I feel a pain. I constellate the client and the pain by a representative. And then quite often this pain becomes a person. And you can see it's the pain of the grandmother or of the mother or of a child. And then you can immediately see that the client is connected with this pain and with this person. And in this way we are guided step by step, just one step, then the next step. Then we see there must be someone else. They look somewhere and there's someone else. So we put another person there and we come to the next step. So we begin with one step in the beginning and wait till we get another link, what we shall do now next. Yes. But if we go down to the problem, all the problems you do constellations with, are they the so-called traumas we have in life? And do all our traumas always have something to do with other people?
not everything I would say is trauma, but there's a lot of trauma, and we can distinguish between personal trauma that needs also a very personal help, sometimes also on a physical level of the body. And what we face in the constellation work is systemic trauma. So it's not the client who is traumatized, but he is in resonance with a traumatized person in his family.
Yes.
And the way we help that in this situation is that someone can leave it at the person where it comes from. And it's quite different.
So, is it enough with one constellation, or you have to do it many times, or is it a long? You just keep on going to finished?
Sometimes one constellation has a very deep effect over many months and sometimes over years. And then it's good not to do something else at that time, or to give this constellation some months to develop inside. But sometimes you have the feeling you just could do one step on a longer way, and then you do maybe after 2 months the next step. This is very individual. But it's also, I don't see the individual in the center. I see someone with many people who is in resonance, and it's about them what comes up. And we are in service of those behind us and in front of us, our children and our future also.
Even the dead people.
The living, the dead as well. The dead as well. And whatever has been open or unfinished catches us inside.
Yes. Do you have any? If you have one good example you can tell about
the constellation.
Yeah. So people know a lot of theory, but how does it really work?
For instance, in the coupleship.
In a couple, yeah.
A couple came to me because they had problems. They had 2 children, but they said, we have since the beginning, or nearly from the beginning, we have problems. And the woman, they want more contact, but they don't get closer. And the constellation showed this, that they were not drawn to each other, but they withdrew from each other. And both men and women were sometimes looking on the floor. And for me that was a sign there is someone dead lying on the floor. The dead we see on the floor. So I put someone on the floor for a dead. And after some time, the woman became very, very sorry. You could see a pain, and drew to the dead and kneeled down. And it took a longer time that also the man could draw again back to the dead. And you could see there was deep grief in both of them about a dead. And then I asked them, have you ever lost a child? Or a stillborn child? And said, no, but I was pregnant and very early we lost that. And we thought that was not important. But the constellation showed that even a not born child in the first weeks or months counts as a full developed human being. And the pain was the same as if this child were born.
Wow.
and they had any idea before they came that this is so important, and that this was between both in their relationship.
How was the solution?
And the solution was immediate in the moment they came together, and the tears were running because of the pain. The pain was bringing them together. That they faced together this dead first child of them. It was in the beginning of their relationship. So there is nobody is guilty or has done something wrong. There's something hidden that separates us.
So this, when they went to this dead child and feel grief, was that the solution to the problem, and they could loosen up the ties?
In a way, the grief was separating them, and to withdraw from that grief, to get rid of it or whatever. Yeah. And in the way, when they faced it, it went away to the dead child, and they felt relieved. That was the
That's
step.
a good example.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes. How long have you been working with this?
I have now working with this already 21 and a half years.
21 and a half years.
Yeah.
Have you been working with Hellinger all the time?
Yes, in a way I studied with him all the time. When I learned it, there were no workshops, no teaching, no training workshops. I just went to him. I went to one of his first students, Jakob Schneider and Gunther Weber. And from them I learned a lot. From him and them I learned a lot, and then started to do my own work. Yeah.
Yes. Only in Germany or all over the world?
First only in Germany for a long time. And then at the international camps where the trainings are today, in an international group, 40 nations and more even sometimes, there we get known, I get known to Stefan and to Shinsuke from Japan, and they invited me. These are colleagues that invite me, and wherever I'm invited, I go.
You go, yes.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lecture here on Monday.
Right.
And courses, where are they?
Zen-book om muziek.
Zen-book om muziek. Yeah. And when this comes out, I hope I can get this out maybe this evening, and then could be a little bit marketing.
Yeah.
But you're already full booked, I think?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, it's more room.
There's enough space. And I thank you a lot that you proposed to make the interview.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to fill people in with what's going on and all kinds of therapies. Right now we have the government looking at alternative medicine and the science. They don't find any proof for anything. So I like to get more practical proof from people working with it.
Right.
So we can tell a little bit about it.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything you want to market or something? Or
well,
do you have a book or?
No, I haven't written a book. No, but Hellinger has written 80 books.
Okay, so it's Hellinger.
And he's still writing books, so maybe when he had stopped, I was stopped.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're around the world helping people with these constellations. Are you only doing courses or doing your own constellations?
For myself.
For clients.
I'm doing groups.
Yeah.
I don't do individual work, just groups, because I'm occupied with all the groups in Germany and all over.
You like your work?
A lot. It's a blessing for me too.
Yeah. So you found your the meaning of your life,
right?
Yes.
Really,
on this period.
really,
yes.
really,
fantastic.
really.
Thank you very much, Gerhard.
Thank you.
And
so much.
I hope to see you soon again.
And whoever feels curious about this work, he can
take contact with.
But
ditt navn var?
Steffen Rostock Svendsen.
Steffen Rostock Svendsen er litt representant I Norge da.
Yeah.
We can maybe put out your website on the video.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And you too.